What's up, all my fellow Skolgers? A little late to the party. My apologies. I've been a little under the weather, but we need to talk about the recent news of the Vikings finding, finally, their new defensive coordinator, Brian Flores. Now, it seemed a little sketchy for a little bit there, trying to figure out who we were going to go after and who we were going to get. I know we went after the guy from Denver. That obviously didn't pan out. But for me, top of the list for me was Brian Flores, and the Vikings got him. They got him. So, as we enter the off season now, obviously we still got the Super Bowl coming up on Sunday. But for the Vikings moving forward, this is a big deal. In my opinion, this is a huge, huge signing. Obviously, we're not expecting Flores to be around long term. This is likely to be a 1 year, maybe 2 year thing. I'm predicting a 1 year thing because he's gonna get offers. He really is. But we just need the change to set the precedent for what our defense can be. And I think that this is a brilliant signing for the Vikings. I think O'Connell, head coach, with Brian Flores as defensive coordinator, is going to be hugely beneficial to us. And it's February, but I'm already excited about next season just because of this. And I think that we have a lot of work to do this offseason, obviously, but the aggression is what I am so looking forward to. Like, someone who's not afraid to bring pressure, someone who's not afraid to, let's just talk about Ed Donatel, that soft ass zone defense that we saw with our corners playing so far off the ball. I expect that to change dramatically now. This is going to be a shorter video. I just wanted to talk about this because it is important with the signing. Article popped up here for 5 Vikings who stand to benefit the most with this hiring. Obviously, the Vikings have some cap space that they need to work out this offseason with some guys. Now, news that I saw today coming on Twitter is Dalvin Cook is not expected to take a pay cut. He's not interested in taking a pay cut. I can't say that I'm surprised, and I like Dalvin Cook. Believe me, I am a fan of Dalvin Cook. When he is on, he is on. He is a great player. He really is. He's a home run hitter. I mean, he got us back into some big games this season, like the Buffalo game with the long touchdown that propelled us with the momentum back into that game. And, that Colts game with the big comeback where he had the big screen that he brought to the house. I will forever be a Dalvin Cook fan, don't get me wrong, but with this news that he's not willing to restructure, I think it's time to move on. I don't know what his trade value is, but you got to do it. You got to do it. Even if we also move on from Alexander Madison, Kene Nwangwu might be his time to shine. Ty Chandler might be his time to shine. Maybe the Vikings go that route and draft a guy at some point. I don't know what round, but there's a lot of animosity on Vikings Twitter right now about who or what position we should draft, especially in the early rounds. A lot of guys are saying corner. There's rumors that Patrick Peterson will not be re-signed as well. Obviously, he is aging. I would personally like to see Pat Pete back on a 1-year deal. That's just me. If it can't happen, so be it. But I would like to see what our young guys can do when healthy. I'd like to see what Andrew Booth Jr. can do when he's healthy, and Lewis Cine when he's healthy. A couple guys that are mentioned in this article that could benefit. Danielle Hunter. Obviously, he finished the season with 10.5 sacks. Not a bad season quietly. It's just that for whatever reason, Donatel had him dropping into coverage, which is just a colossal mistake in my opinion. Stop dropping him back into coverage. So with a new scheme, new coordinator, maybe could really revitalize that special thing that he had. You know, he's 28 years old, 10.5 sacks this last season. His take it as with a grain of salt, but his PFF grade was 86.9, which is 9th out of 100 players or 130 players at his position. So it is, you know, what it is. Interesting to see, like, if we continue on the 3-4 defense or if we move back into a 4-3. I don't know what Flores would go with, but yeah, don't drop Danielle Hunter back into coverage, please don't do that anymore, especially if we keep him. Salary cap hit of $13.1 million. That one's kind of tough, but I don't know. I feel like he's a piece that Flores would want to convince the front office to keep him around. Another veteran would be Harrison Smith. Personally, I know he's aging. I know he's not quite the player that he used to be, but I still think that he had a good season. I would love to see what Brian Flores could draw up for him defensively, especially with his aggressiveness. I would love to see Harry back again. And that's going to cost us, I understand. I've talked about moving on from Eric Kendricks. I've mentioned moving on from Harrison Smith, but I think Flores brings that aggressiveness that Harrison Smith could thrive in. That's just my opinion. So I think that's something to consider, that we need to work with Harrison to try and maybe get him back. Again, maybe with a restructure. But it just feels like this is the kind of defense he could thrive in again. Like he could get back to himself a little bit more. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It's not going to be cheap. That's for sure. It will not be cheap. His salary cap right now is set to count as $19.1 million. You know, I think that we will ask him to take a pay cut. And I'm hoping, he's entering his 12th season. I would like to think that he'd be willing to take that cut. But, you know, that remains to be seen. Next guy that is mentioned in this article that could be set up big is Brian Asamoah. You know, I don't really have a ton to say it on this matter. Like, he did not get a defensive snap for us until week 5 when we played the Bears. So, you know, there's not a ton to work with here. But again, new scheme, new coordinator, especially a skilled coordinator as Flores. I love this signing. I really do. I love him being a coach for us. And I think that, you know, he's going to bring in a new mentality that's going to relieve some of the frustration from last season. That's my opinion. Excuse my voice a little bit. I am still under the weather, so I apologize. I'm kind of in a rush just trying to get this video out because we had to talk about it. Also, we did just do our first video podcast, SkolNBolts Podcast, so please check that out if you haven't yet. But it is what it is, you know. We didn't really get to see what Asamoah could do in the playoffs because in the first half he suffered a concussion on special teams. So he didn't get any defensive reps in there, and obviously defensively we were atrocious, and Daniel Jones cooked us. But I don't know, I'd like to see where he could rank, especially if we decide to move on from Kendricks and or Jordan Hicks, with salary cap moves. So it's tough to say. And then, you know, these other guys that they mentioned in this article is Lewis Cine and Andrew Booth Jr. You know, it's so hard to gauge. I see so many Vikings fans on Twitter that want to just immediately label them as a bust. But we're talking, big injuries, especially with Lewisine. A freak injury. You can't crucify a guy for his play when he suffers an injury like that. And what, week 4 was it? Week 4, I think. I don't know, but regardless, I am looking forward to seeing how these guys fare in a new system with a seasoned, experienced coach. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be much improved. Now, I'm not sitting here going to tell you guys that I think that the Vikings are going to be a top 10, top 5 defensive team here, but you just can't be 30th, 31st, or 32nd. If we were in the top 20, I think we would have went much further. I think that's a pretty obvious point to make. So I believe that this is a strong signing for the Vikings, and obviously it's so early. Literally, the Super Bowl hasn't even happened yet, but I was hoping for this signing. We got it. It's exactly what I wanted. So I very much look forward to this. And I will do some more Zafa Talk episodes here definitely in the next couple weeks as, things start to settle in. And we're also going to be transitioning to some hockey content on the SkolNBolts Podcast. So please tune into that. That should be really exciting. And now our podcasts are now video-based. So, super exciting. Definitely super exciting. And yeah, this Zafa Talk series will also feature some other content. I'm a wrestling fan, so look out for wrestling content, especially leading up to WrestleMania. We just had the Royal Rumble. Extreme Rules is coming up soon. So we're going to have some wrestling content, some hockey content, some video game content, as well as Vikings coverage. Again, I apologize for my voice because I can feel that I'm very nasally, but that's what we can look forward to. I think Brian Flores is the perfect guy for the job. Very much look forward to what he's going to bring to this team and what we can be next season. It's going to be a lot of fun. Again, optimistic me is returning after we just ended the season in heartbreak. Literally, my last Zafa Talk was talking about the painful loss in the playoffs, and now here I am, hopeful again. It's a vicious cycle. It is truly a vicious cycle as a Vikings fan, but here we are. I'm excited. I'm going to enjoy the Super Bowl this weekend. Go Kansas City, because fuck the Eagles, right? I feel like us Vikings fans should agree on that, right? Fuck the Eagles. Go Kansas City, and please, guys, check out the SkolNBolts Podcast. I feel like we're getting better and better with it. We're still new to the podcast game, but I feel like we're getting so much better. And now that we finally have a video-based podcast, it's going to actually take us to the next level. So, yeah, please check out our episodes and subscribe if you are not. We're just trying to grow our YouTube channel, as well as our podcast is on Spotify. So check us out there as well. Leave us a 5-star review. And yeah, we'll see what happens. We got a long off season, unfortunately. A lot of waiting, but let's get ready for it. And we'll have other content available too. So thank you, guys. Let me know in the comments if you guys are as hyped as I am for this signing, because I'm pretty excited for it. I'm very much looking forward to it. If you guys agree, let me know. If you guys disagree, let me know. And we will talk to you guys very soon. Tune in next week for the SkolNBolts Podcast of the Super Bowl recap. We'll see you guys soon. Bye.